persons get. Cool, gotcha. All right, off you go.
All right, so my open data project, we've got some intense ones here. I wanted to have a bit of fun with mine. So my data set was from the IMDb, from IMDb rather, and they've got 7 available databases that don't contain everything that they have on their website, but it's sort of enough, I figured, to work with, and it's good data. My initial data set was a little bit more probably what I wanted to do, but from the ABS, I found the data really hard to use and a bit strange. So I went with something like this and had a bit of fun with it. And so what I want to look at specifically was what happened to The Simpsons. I'm a big Simpsons fan, and I wanted to know a little bit. I'm watching some of the reruns with my girlfriend, and I wanted to know when things went bad, and maybe kind of answer the question like, is it just in my head? Did I just get bored of it, or whatever? But I wanted to have a closer look. So first thing we want to do is just start building our database. Like I said, we combine a lot of different data sources. So I just wanted to start with some simple information. We got episode numbers, all that kind of stuff. Keep going. We add our ratings because obviously that's an important place to start. And I guess I just wanted a simple representation of when, where, if at all, it went wrong. So we could just go with a simple graph here. And I think that, like I write here, like a cliff, I think it's pretty clear that there's a drop off here around episode 180 in terms of the episode quality, which is pretty interesting. It's not a smooth decline, it's a drop off, a smooth decline, and then a sort of a period of mediocrity. So I wanted to explore the drop off a little bit more. Just take a closer look, simple scattered over line graph. And you can see again that point where it drops off here and then the decline. This is the first 300 episodes. So the question is, what happened? I've answered my question, the first question, which is, was there a drop off or did I just get bored or whatever? There is a drop off. I wanted to know what happened. So we've got limited amount of data to work with from IMDb, but we do have things like writers. So I figured we could associate writers and directors and stuff like that, some of the staff with the ratings of each episode. So I wanted to take a quick look at that. But first I need to just cull some of the writers because the IMDb data associates Matt Groening and James L. Brooks and Sam Simon, who aren't writers, as writers. So we just get rid of those and we start to build a database with writers in it. Shows their episodes, average rating, shows all the ratings of their episodes, and let's plot some graphs. So this just shows all our writers, and you can see a clear decline over time of our best writers to the worst. It's not particularly insightful, but it does show a huge difference in the quality that is contributed to The Simpsons over time. You've got guys who are contributing 9 down to 5 here. This doesn't show anything in terms of their episode, the number of episodes though, or when they contributed. So we'll have a look at that because that's important. So we will add that information, first episode, last episode, stuff like that, and go with a scatter plot because I feel like it makes sense to do that. I know Ben just mentioned we won't use colors to look at data, but then that wasn't my intention. But I found the colors pretty insightful anyway, based off this scatter plot. In this scatter plot, each dot represents a writer. I haven't labeled them at this stage because there's over 100 and it gets messy. But you can see here the colors sort of start to bunch up. It may not be immediately obvious, but maybe I said it for too long. But I figured I'm going to look at the writers who have contributed more than 10 episodes, add some labels and see if we can get anything more out of that. And I think you can here as soon as you do this. Again, I'm using the colors to sort of gain information from this data, but I think it's pretty useful in this case. I think that this represents sort of a generational shift of a sort. We've got guys in purple who joined early who are contributing really high quality episodes, and a whole bunch here that are contributing a fair amount of episodes between 10 and 40 who joined, are about your episode 240 to, maybe 400 in the case of John Kern. And then the guys who joined later who really are contributing not very great episodes, and quite a few of them. So I wanted to explore the generations a bit more. These are the lower group, the guys who've contributed between 1 and 9. Again, no labels because there's too many of them. And not a lot to be gained from this, except for the fact that the middle generation, which is in blue, didn't really consistently contribute. Sorry, yep, sure. A lot of didn't contribute. Mostly contributed rather. The first and last generations. There was a lot of individual episodes. Anyway, so we'll just go into that more. Let's look at the separation of the generations. So we've got generation A, B, C, red, green, and blue. And it becomes pretty clear that we've got generational shifts here in the writers. So what does that mean? I want to look at the endings as well to see if there is a clear shift here. So let's look at the top 10 again. And we can see here that in terms of final episodes, we can see both a clear generational shift now of when people joined and when they ended, and the relationship between their episode rating. So we can also see some outliers here, which I'll explore. But this says to me that there's clearly the reason why I think that the show declined was that you had these massive generational shifts of writers, and for whatever reason, the new generations were unable to contribute to the level of quality of the prior writers.
Right.
I have one more question, which is that if we want to look at these outliers here, Dan Greeny, Al Jean, and Jeff Martin, because they've joined early, contributed high to a ton of great episodes, have got a high average, but they haven't left until recently, or are still contributing until this stage. So I wanted to see if their episodes are still worth watching. Like, are they creating diamonds in the rough? Because I haven't seen any recent episodes of The Simpsons. And so we just create a little database for them. And we can see here in our final graph that these guys, when they contributed, despite contributing early and often and a lot of great episodes, when they rejoined the show, with the exception of one episode from Dan Greeny that's highly rated, they were unable to kind of like bring the show back to a level of greatness that it once had. So my take from this is that it takes not just a writer, it's a group of writers, it's a generation, it's a culture perhaps that is required to create a great show like The Simpsons. And once a generation leaves, they take that sort of greatness with them. That's it.
All right, nice. So that was great. That was a lot of content, a lot of good following the story. I think what I was saying about color was the color needs to contribute to the graph, so it has some data
Gotcha.
value. You've done that.
Woo.
So your colors are showing something. So I think the first graph you showed didn't look like they were doing anything because the colors matched such a strong correlation. But then later ones, you could see that the colors were actually doing some work. And so it was a good question, good use of the graphs to explain it. A good use of kind of using the kind of visual analytics capacity of your brain to see those clusters of colors as well. And in general, it seemed like a pretty decent exploration. Did you have any thoughts, Scarlett?
Yeah, I thought it was really good overall. It covered that graph at the end showing how they just couldn't get the magic back when they returned to the show. That was great. But yeah, it would have been interesting to look at viewer retention, but I don't think it was needed in the end. It was.
Yeah, there's limited data as well, but
Yeah.
love to be able to grab information about reviews and look at keywords and see all this sort of stuff. But the limited data available from IMDb, and even just trying to combine that. One of the things about the IMDb database as well is they're so big. It takes a lot of time to go through them. At least using the methods I was messing around with. So my main priority was sort of speed and trying to extract any useful information from what I had, given the time I had.
And also, if your show's dying, you're not going to release how poorly it's going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I also was concerned a little bit with the manipulation potentially of reviews. I know that that's not something that's difficult to do in the case of IMDb, but I thought considering that, that Simpsons or Fox isn't short of cash, they could have messed with the numbers a little bit. Didn't seem like they did that because there's really like the later episodes are really poorly rated. So anyway, I thought the data was pretty great.
All right.